There we go.
Cool. So I have everything ready to go. If we want to start, if we want to go live, we could start getting a few followers in, just have a few.
Yeah, let me make a post.
Yeah. And so what I did with my post, I just said link in bio, and the link tree has the live event, but it also has like access to YouTube and Twitter and Facebook.
Okay. Excuse me. Okay, on YouTube and Facebook. Perfect. Link in their bio. Perfect. Yay!
Yay. Cool. So I'm going to go ahead and launch this. We're going to go live on all uh, streaming services. So now we are on Twitter as of right now.
Yay! Hi, Twitter.
And we should be good to go on our other layouts. So yeah, so YouTube should be up.
What's up, YouTube?
Yeah, I think we got it going. So YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook all have us live now. All right. Yeah, we're good to go. This is great. I've never done it across all streams.
Yeah.
It feels weird. Like it feels, I don't know why it feels different, but it does feel a little bit different.
I think on IG you can kind of see people's comments and stuff and who's watching, and I can't see any of that. So I think it feels more freeing to me. I can't see anything. I can just be myself.
Yeah, that is probably that's probably accurate, honestly. I think actually Facebook is having just a little trouble lagging. Let's hopefully, I'm gonna go ahead and just like minimize everything. We're gonna do our thing. So we don't have to worry about like the other streaming services. I'm gonna go ahead and, yeah, I just wanted to make sure that we're streaming on all services before I minimized everything and we could get to our own conversation. But let's go ahead and start with like our names and our pronouns, and we'll start there. I'll start. My name's Token Rose. My pronouns are they, them, and I'm part of the campaign of the WriteinTeressaRaiford for mayor. Do you want to introduce yourself as well?
I'm Kingsley, and my pronouns are she, her, and sometimes bitch. And I am an artist in Portland to help with voter understandings and the importance of voting, not just for president, but for mayor in Portland.
Absolutely. How long have you been in Portland? What are your ties to Portland?
Like 4 years now. And
Wow.
no ties. I moved with an ex-boyfriend and I stayed because I had a great job. No ties though.
You know, I've noticed that a lot of people are not from Portland, myself included. So it's really hard to find those folks. Except Teresa, she's been here for 4 generations.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of research and digging, not digging in a bad sense, but just finding more. I mean, it's nice to have a representative who is still native to and has seen the change in the way that it happens to be able to either fix or find the little cog that's fucking up the system, you know, because she's been here for so long.
Right. It's really, and this is just kind of going to our point that like Teresa doesn't think that like one person, including herself, is going to change it all as mayor, you know, and I think a lot of politicians like to think that as soon as they get in, they're going to change everything. And that's not how it works, you know. And that's what's beautiful about Teresa is that she's actually empowering us to make those changes that we need to make, that we see that we need to make, right? So she's just more empowerment, and I think that's a huge benefactor for us as citizens to like be able to recognize the empowerment that we have from a leader, and knowing that the leader themselves knows that they don't control it all. I think that's really cool. So it just kind of like it's very inclusive. It's like, hey, y'all help us build this community as well, because like one person, even if they're mayor, doesn't change shit.
Unfortunately, but
It doesn't.
that's kind of a good thing. That gets
Right.
people involved.
It does get people involved, but we always think. So, for example, the mayor is an executive branch, right? We always forget about the other two branches that we have, you know, legislation, and we also have judges, and those are things that we also need to focus on. Um, but I think that the beautiful thing about this, though, with Teresa being mayor, is that she empowers us to do these things. She's done the work, so I always want to bring that point up to folks is like get involved. There's more than just like a mayor that enacts this legislation that is able to make these decisions that are on our
school board
behalf.
positions, there's community leader positions, there's organization positions. There's just way more than just the top tier. I mean, it takes a village.
It does, absolutely. But with that being said, we do want to support Teresa as mayor. And the reason this is because that has access to so many resources. And Teresa is already a mutual aid coordinator. She's already been doing the work, you know, with Don't Shoot PDX and well before that in regards to organizing and protests and marches. So, and if you even notice now, like the amount of mutual aid that's being facilitated outside of the campaign is done from people like us. You know, it's like it's not you know, it's not one position that's going to again change the world. It's us coming together, mutual aid coordination, and a strategic game plan for how we want to live together.
Right. Yeah.
So I think that's why it's a very important to write Teresa in, Teresa Raiford for mayor in Portland when it comes down to November 3rd.
Yeah.
So let's all, you know, don't forget that her name, like, we want to tell people to spell it right. Obviously, it's just
so I was just talking to someone because I was like, I want to make sure I say it right. Like Teresa, I want to make sure I say it right. And then I was like, I don't need to say it right. I need to spell it right. And that's the most important thing. Saying has nothing to do with it. If you cannot say it, you better know how to spell it. That's the most important.
No, you're right. And so with that, it's like we know that the counting matters. It shouldn't, but they say the rules are that if it's close enough that they know who you're talking about, that they'll count it. But we don't want to put our hope in someone else's judgment, specifically when we know that they're not on our side. Yeah. And so that's why we're like, spell it right, just to like avoid confusion, just to like, and be respectful. A name is like personal.
A name is a representation. So
right, absolutely. And Teresa's really, yeah. But she's really good about that. She's like, it's actually Teresa, and it's not even offensive. It's just like, hey, this is my name, and that's what I want you to say. And for folks that have difficult names, correct people. Let them know your real name and what you identify as, and like that's your name. That's not. Yeah, stand up for that. Like, you know, make sure that we're showing up for our identities. But I understand what it was growing up with a really difficult name, and sometimes you just want to let it slide. But more and more, I'm like, this is my name. let's not miss that. But what about how have you been involved in Portland? The activism scene, like, has this been like all kind of new to you? Was this something that you've heard about? Tell me your background.
So I'm a laxed. I was a laxed activist in a sense of I went to in 2016 when Trump was elected. I went to a bunch of BLM protests, and I just did not like aggressiveness of it just wasn't my scene. I don't enjoy being in the forefront of just brutal aggression to just be aggressive. And it was like 20 people there. And I was like, does not need to be a thing. So that I was like, I'm going to take a break from physical protests and do other things that I can do. And so fast forward to now, I did a few protests, and I really enjoy that they have musicians at protests who get to play their music. And a lot of the art is really a reflective of what's happening, you know? And so it's really fruitful to go and hear someone's story through song, or just like, right. They had, the whole bill was just Black people, and what are the odds that a whole bill is Black people in Portland, you know? Like all of us were it's so cool. And then I took I'm not going to say a break necessarily, but I wanted to speak more about my coming up. And so I created a IG series that I might turn into a podcast called Talking Shit About Shit, where I basically just go on and I talk about what the fuck ever. That's, you know, and it started off with BLM movement, and just, I had my mom on my show, and my mom is such an amazing woman and a strong Black woman. And so it just has been spiraling out, and it's every Friday. So that's kind of been my little scurry. And then just like talking to my close friends. I have a lot of white friends in Portland. It's Portland, got a lot of them. And so it hasn't really been necessarily going to the masses, but just making my circle more understanding and more tighter, and really focusing on that, of teaching them the shops to shop at, or teaching myself the shops to shop at, because I get asked questions all the time that I'm like, let me research that, because I should know a vegan skincare line owned by a Black woman who's now Nola Skincare on Instagram. You know, like these are, and so it's been a really good and eye-opening process. I was really mad during George Floyd. I didn't want to protest. I didn't want to talk to anybody. I was mad. And when the anger subsided, then clarity finally came through of like, all right, here are the ways that I could be a better person in the community, and use my voice to amplify in such a way. So.
Yeah, I think you bring up such a great point, is that it starts here. Like it really starts around us, and like who we directly influence. And then, you know, I think that's where it all begins, is like making sure that this is for anything. It's like for big movements, it's for small movements, but it really does start with ourselves, and like acknowledging it, and doing our research, and doing our own education, and doing our unlearning. I think is also a big thing for me personally, is like I've learned so much bullshit, and I'm like, how do I unlearn what I was already previously taught?
Find validity in what it's trying to say. You know, I've had so many conversations with people that's like, okay, here's what it says, but here's what it actually means. Like having a better interpreter of like, okay, this is the information I was given, but what does this mean? Let's undress this a little bit, because it is just covered in shit.
Yeah, tell us more, or quickly tell us, where can we find Talking Shit About Shit?
It's on Fridays at 7 p.m. and it's just IG Live, and then I save it for IGTV. And there's some really cool stuff on there. Haley Johnson, who was a write-in, she's my best friend in Portland, and we went on there, and me and Haley have had a lot of good eye-opening. She's from Beaverton, just like some eye-opening things that we've shared, you know. And some she says embarrassing, but I think it's like the most heartfelt thing when you see someone just admit to, like, you know, someone put the blinders on her, but taking them off is a whole nother thing. Oh no, you're frozen. Oh no. I wonder if I'm frozen.
Yeah, it was off, and it's kind of choppy, but I think I caught all of that. I just want to make sure that, like,
I hear you now. You're back.
But yeah, I heard all of that. And yeah, uncovering your own blinders is really uncomfortable, but it's so necessary. Like specifically now when we're talking so much just like about our own accountability. And I think this is very important for all of us to realize that we have an opportunity to create and learn from these engagements, as uncomfortable as they are, as uncomfortable as, it probably won't get less uncomfortable. You know, like this isn't comfortable territory. Like we're in a movement, we're in a revolution, we're changing normals that we already grew up with. So yeah, kind of like stopping that process and like going against it and unlearning that, it takes a lot of courage and it takes a lot of guts and
And great,
mistakes.
great.
Yeah.
Like I'm still learning. It's the most
Oh
humbling
yeah.
thing for me to be like, let me Google that because that's that's something I need to know, and that's good to know.
I have one other question before I guess we could hop into some music because we are here for that. But I do have an interesting question, just in regards to being a Black woman in Portland. How can you talk to your experience about that? I don't know if this is something like if there's a direct question, but it's just like
Yeah,
a general question.
I think it can feel very lonely at times. That you're wading in the water by yourself, and it could feel like you're unwelcome at places at times. Like I've walked into a place and have felt unwelcomed. And then there's been beautiful moments where I've walked into the bathroom and some other Black girl was like, oh my God, Black girl, Black girl. Let's dance, let's samba. And so I would encourage other Black women that are watching this and that will watch this to like, and it's taken me up until this year to like really find not be in the victim mentality of like, it is extremely hard being Black in Portland. Like nothing takes away from that experience, but like, don't let that take away from your happiness in life in general. Like there's something that could happen to me I walk outside and someone grabs their there's an instance every single day. And so I would say to any Black girls, any Black boys, any person of color, any person who identifies in LGBT, like any person that feels that, like find hope and happiness that like you belong, and because of your presence, you'll bring another presence in there.
Yeah, I see that. I know that there's one view of Portland that says that it's a benefit to be a minority of being Black in Portland. And like, I mean, Teresa like has batted that down. She's like, that's some bullshit. Like nobody wants to like, and I just want to like, I was talking to my mom about this and like, I don't get to talk to my mom very often. Um, but I asked her yesterday, I was like, what was race relations like? And back in Texas, and it was a small town Texas, growing up. And even my grandmother's hometown was called Robert E. Lee, Texas. So like, I mean, the amount of like things that we were underlying in racism were just felt. And I asked, I was like, how was it? Like, even if we didn't acknowledge them, like there was race tension in the 60s and the 70s. Like we know that. And I was like asking my mom, like, how did you directly like address this? And it was basically, and that's what I want to do myself. I'm like, how am I unlearning those things that I was previously taught to be afraid of or to like be intimidated by? And it's like, uh, yeah, I made a lot of strides. I'll just say that. Like, it's been like for me, just personally, like I've been in counseling since I was 18. I've done a lot of work to unlearn those like things that we did, but it's again, it's never changed or it's never ending.
Exactly.
Um, and I've learned so much today. Like, yeah, just like talking to a few people every hour or so. Like, I've got a few phone calls, but I've learned so much from our youth. Specifically, like our Black youth has been pivotal for me to like learn some of these key changes that are, and they're not mad. Like, whenever I feel like people want, like, you can't change somebody's mind by yelling at them, right?
You can, you can try. You can ask all my exes.
Like like when it comes to systemic change, we always say like you could do that by force. That's why we march. But when it comes to somebody's mind and somebody's like personal beliefs, you can't do it by force.
I think there's been, I was just talking with a really good friend because we were talking about like, what's the point of people getting so mad about, let me try to get like protesters. Well, if you like take a breath and take a moment, and this is like direct quote of what he said, is like, if you take a breath and you say, why are you so bothered by this? And really have the person sit back and think, why is this actually bugging me? I mean, that's the moment of great conversation that can come to it. Because I could be like, you fucking idiot, we've been protesting for la 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 la, but having a moment and just putting it back on the person to have a moment with themselves. And I think youth, especially Black youth, have learned to navigate in such quick ways because they have grown up with race. I was very good at navigating with race conversations because I had to do it in third grade. Like it was a very young and thing. In kindergarten, I knew where I stood as a Black woman. I had that talk with my parents. And I think our youth with more education, with more access to information, had just a really good way of digging into someone's heart before they even knew, you know?
That's such a good point. I remember, yeah, I mean, with the conversation with my mom yesterday, I was asking about like, how did we address that as a child? Like when I was a kid, did you ever talk about this? I was asking some really tough questions, right? And I'm like, Mom, I don't get to talk to her that often. So when I do, it's like, hey, by the way, let's talk really about some fundamental things. And so I remember telling her just yesterday, I was like, if Black people can learn, or if they're having to learn about racism at such a young age, why are we not learning about it? Like, why, like, could we have done something differently? Like, I'm asking these questions not as a blame. It's just like, talk to me, Mom. Like, how can we expand this? Because, like,
I'm curious, did you say if learning younger is better?
So I'm brown. My mom is Mexican or Mexican American. We've been in the States since I can remember, and even before, like we're third, fourth generation Texan. And so before that, before it was Texas, it was always Mexico, right? And so like we're indigenous product of that land, even though it's Texas. However, it was like it was. Like I feel like it was taboo. Like we never talked about race, but it was never brought up.
You could feel it.
But you could feel it. I felt it. We never talked about it, and like I even went to like a private school, and like I was the only two brown kids actually in our school, and so like I knew that there was something there. I just never could pinpoint it. I didn't have a Black friend growing up that I remember. I'm like, did I have Black friends, Mom? Like it wasn't even by like anything else. It's just like we didn't learn that. And so like I've done a lot of unlearning and like a lot of relearning about what this is and about my place in this movement.
The way that it is, yeah. I mean, it was strategic to why unfortunately.
But I am grateful I'm here. I'm grateful I've learned. I'm grateful you're in my presence and that we're like able to like bring some joy. That's why we obviously we do this to bring joy to people. We want to make this every Tuesday, every Thursday for folks to have a reliable source of like it's pretty shitty in the world and we're in chaotic times. That's undeniable. What you were saying though is like we have to find those that like to hold on to our joy, to make us to continue, because specifically Black joy is magic. I found that like directly, like I've lived, like my roommate's Black, we've been together 4 years. Teresa, like I've known all these things, and like there's definitely something magic about Black magic and like Black girl magic, Black boy magic, and it's like, and I always say this on the live streams, it's like just because it's magic doesn't mean it's not real, because like that shit is potent. It's potent.
It's real. I just came out as a witch. Magic is so real, y'all. It's so real. It's just, it's incredible and it's beautiful and it's something everyone should explore once in their world outside of Harry Potter. Like real magic, real joy.
Cool. Let's hit some music.
Yeah.
You want to play some music?
Well, I'll let you pick. I didn't know. I listened to a bunch of your other weeks, and so I didn't know what to play. I have like one sad song that's I wrote specifically about depression, especially growing up being in an all-white school like I did. And then I got a bunch of songs about stupid boys, which are just really fun, and we can put words to it, and it'll be great.
Let's hear the sad song, and then we'll hear like a happy song, and we'll close it out with like some happier songs.
Yeah, good idea. Okay. So this song is called Might Not Make It, and you totally can sing along if you want to. There's no rules. It's specifically about my little sister who had been Googling how to hang herself properly, which opened up a dialogue in my family's house about bullying and finding the value in loving that you're Black. And it's been a really cool exploration looking back on this song, because I spent most of my life not enjoying what really makes you awesome because you are Black, like the qualities that make, there's qualities about Italian that make you amazing. There's quality, there's all these things. And I had spent so long fighting against it because of how I was bullied. And playing this song now that I am in love with my skin color is really fruitful. And I hope anyone else listening to this, no matter what your skin color is, to keep pushing and find the other side of the light.
Wow, that's so beautiful already. I'm already about to cry. I'm like,
okay, you can sing the Jews with me whenever, okay?
All right.
I don't know where I stand anymore. Staring my reflection like she moves in different directions. I don't know where to begin anymore. Tired of this maze that's got these dead ends everywhere we go. I'm asking all the wrong questions, pointless senses. Doors are falling backwards. I don't have no what's to the edge now. I don't know what I don't know. And I might not make it. Oh, I might not make it through. Oh, I might not make it. Can I find the strength to fall through? Yo, do, 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 do. You can sing that with me. Yo, do, 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 do. I don't know where to begin anymore. They the things that made the most sense come crashing to the floor like nonsense. I don't know where I stand anymore. Person that I used to be is dying right in front of me. I'm asking all the wrong questions to pointless answers. I'm feeling like doors are falling backwards. How do I have no push to the edge now? I don't know what I don't know. And I might not make it. Oh, I might not make it through. Oh no, I might not make it. Can I find the strength to fall through? Yo, do, 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 do. Sing it with me, Dad. Yo, do, 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 do. Yo, do, do, do. Now this song is for any person who's felt lost, broken, or afraid. You are not lost, you are wandering. You are not broken, you are mending. And you need not be afraid. See, this song is for any person who's lost themselves on this battle we call life. They will never be forgotten. Because to give love is to give life, and to give life is to give love. And I'm just asking you, can you vote for Teressa for mayor? You do, and I might not make it. I might not make it through. Oh no, I might not make it. Can I find straight to fall through?
That was amazing.
Thank you.
How young is your sister from you? How close are y'all in age?
She's 14 now. I have a big family. I have 7 siblings, and they're all my siblings. And yes, my parents are married. People always ask that. I'm like, no, they're still going. They're both Black, and they're still kicking.
Yeah, that's rare.
It is very rare. And my dad didn't want any kids. and my mom wanted 10, so they settled for 8. Good number for my mom.
Wow, that's awesome. Um, that's amazing. Where did you grow up at?
In Plainfield, Illinois, and so it's 45 minutes suburb of Chicago.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've heard of that actually. I mean, my town that I grew up in was called Plainview.
Oh,
But like I've heard of Plainfield though. I have heard of Plainfield.
Plainview. So I'm sure there was a
So
lot
you
of
can
planes.
imagine what it, right? It was flat ass. It was like,
We used to call it plain ass fields.
yeah, basically. Yeah, the town that I grew up in was only like 20,000, but it was like the bigger city of like the smaller cities. Um, it was wild. Like I've contemplated I've actually contemplated going back home more and more recently, just because, like, I mean, our folks get older, right? And so they're gonna need someone to take care of them and like things that are going, as you get older, you need more appointments, you need more work, you need more like upkeep. Um, so,
Crazy.
so I've thought about it going back home. I didn't have a good experience growing up back there, but I'm contemplating how to make this world a better place, like with the resources that I've got. Uh, and this is just kind of just detracting from like what we're doing, but like it's kind of in the same field of like, why are we here? Like, what is our purpose? Why are we doing to make to amplify Black voices, to make this world better, to bridge these gaps, to make it equitable, to do those things, and a lot of it I have found is like it's just people think that it's fun for some reason, or they don't know that it's not fun. I guess I should say it that way, because a lot of this isn't fun. Like these activism things and like leading protests and like mutual aid and all, like some of it could be really daunting and overwhelming a lot of times, and people
That's
don't.
everything in life, like in the music industry, like sitting on Instagram trying to run an ad isn't fun, but that's the thing that you have to like. There's the fun of doing activism comes from a moment like this. Like it wasn't fun when we got rained on when we were marching. That wasn't fun. But like once the rain cleared up and we're literally on the highway and we've taken over the highway and it was so many people, I was like, this is the moment, right? And so like reminding people like you're licking envelopes to like, yeah, that's not fun. But the point is like a person licking an envelope and getting information to help them better vote is the reason why you're doing it in that very moment.
Yeah, that's a great point. Absolutely. They all add up. And I actually have learned so much from like hosting these and facilitating these Instagram dialogues and these live streams. The people I've gotten to meet along this have like really like moved me. Like I've heard some beautiful poetry. I've heard beautiful music. I've heard like different people speak regarding where I'm learning like as they're talking, like, oh my gosh, I've never thought of it that way. And like, I mean, I've gotten so much from these live streams. I just hope people are getting that as well, because like these are very fruitful.
I feel like they are. I feel like if not, they need to watch more. Like, you're not doing the work yet. You're you're passively watching. You have to really watch.
Yeah, and I think that's a really big thing is that for me, I'm just telling people like, know what you signed up for and then do it, because a lot of people are new to activism and any type of thing that makes them uncomfortable. They're kind of new to this, and I'm like, just know that it's not. Know what you sign up for, because like whatever you do, like you can find something in your realm. You know what I'm saying? Like you're an artist, and so you're doing Artists for Teresa to help with the revolution, and like everyone has a niche or a niche, I guess.
Yeah, I think everyone thinks being down at the protests is the only way to amplify Black voices, and there are just so many. Or I've seen so many people that do the donate thing, and I'm like, donating is incredible. Side plug, donate to Don't Shoot PDX. But like if you want something back, if you don't want to just donate and not know where your money's going, I'm putting that in quotes, but like buy something owned by a Black person so you get something. That's super easy to do, you know, like that's amplifying a store, and then make a little post. It takes you 2 seconds to make a post that's like, just bought this from this Black store, right? That's something that's like, it seems very small to some people, but that's something that could make or break a Black business, you know? So there's so many more things that people can do that I think they see really big people, activists doing. I mean, I'm sure people are intimidated watching things that you do, and it's like there are just so many ways in the world to really help with this movement than just one thing.
Yeah. And going back to like our original point is like it starts here. Like it actually starts right around us, and like we wouldn't be able to like acknowledge that if we, you know, if you didn't do the work yourself and been like, hey, I actually need to do this. So like again, it starts with us, it starts with our friends, it starts like directly who we're influencing and who influences us. And then making that post. That's so great. I mean, that's a great way to get that word out there, and like, yeah, it doesn't take too much time.
Something. You want something. It's so nice to have a thing.
Yeah, I've been, if you know who the eavesdropper is, Instagram famous, like beautiful Black boy, like but like I was reading one of their posts today, and it was like talking about just like the work that we're doing is not meant for us to see fulfilled. We're doing work, we're planting seeds that we may never see. But it doesn't like negate the fact that we should still plant that and water it and nourish it.
It is really, I mean, you said it yourself, the unlearning and learning better. And so like the seeds that we're planting is the learn better. Like every person that now knows to consciously shop vegan passes that information on, right? Now the person who consciously shops Black passes that, you know, it's just like it's a continuous effect. Tomorrow morning, we're not going to wake up and be like, cool, we did it. That's it. Now what? You know?
I bought one Black item. Good for go.
I did. One, I donated once. I'm good. So it's just continuing teaching, and I think it's a little ominous to say that we won't see it in our thing, but that's the point of making better for our future. Like our parents make sacrifices to make better for their children's children. They weren't moving for you; they were moving for a dream that would be carried long past your lineage. You know.
Yeah, that's so true. I've never thought of it that way. I personally, because I've never thought of children, but I'm also learning like, just think, I honestly, when you said that, I immediately went back to like my roots. Why did they move? Like, what were we doing? There's always just like a game plan ahead, and people always want better, right? People want to leave the world a better place than what we came here with. I think that's very important. I know that like there's so many ways to do it, but I think honestly, where our country has been formed, our most pressing thing for us is Black liberation and Indigenous sovereignty. I don't think that could be overexpressed. How we have manipulated and tortured and ridiculed like Black people and Indigenous people on this land is atrocious. And I have a hard time like knowing like how did we get here? Like where did we not stop this? Like where did people not show up? Like can we not like
how did we get here, and how are we still pulling teeth? Like
for people that have the power, like
we're still dragging the idea.
Yeah, it feels like if we and I hate to like go.
The more information you get, the like more you're like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Like
yes,
the more
exactly.
you find out about things, the more you're just like, how am I this angry, and why am I the only one angry?
that part, it was like I've told myself this many times, like I don't have to be Black to be outraged. And I tell my friends that I'm like, my family, that they know that I'm outraged. You know, they know that I'm really mad.
Okay.
But and it's also for me personally, and this is just kind of me owning this, is like my own privilege, knowing that I'm non-Black, but I'm still angry, is like to not speak over Black people while, you know, in my own like regard for advocating for them. And so like I'm learning a lot in regards to like knowing my place is like, you know, I'm not directly in, like, I'm not the head of this movement. Like, if that makes sense, I'm amplifying other people to do this. But as a non-Black person, like, I could still be very mad about this, but I don't want to center like myself or like my activism of what we're doing over Black people in general. Like, we're here to do that, and I think that's what our campaign wants to do, and why we're here is like we want to amplify Black women, and specifically Teressa.
I think, and Teressa does a really good way of sharing the traumatic stories. I'm pretty sure I like read that she like grew up with a lot of trauma.
Yeah.
And I think the most important thing, and I love that you said like being able to speak up and be enraged, but stepping back. And I think the best way to make change happen is to hear directly from that person, because they can pinpoint a moment where something went wrong. Like I can name a moment in my school where I wish something would have changed, and I know the policy that could be changed, but like no one else could share that because it was just my experience as a Black person, you know? And so all of these laws that we're trying to get in motion and changing and building back the Black community, the only people who could speak on that specifically are Black people, no one else. But that doesn't mean you can't be angry about things, but it's like knowing how to take true information and regurgitate it in such a way. I mean, Black people may be the face of a movement, but it takes everyone to make a change happen.
Oh yeah.
Literally everyone.
Absolutely. It's going to take mostly the people in power to like give that up. And that's typically white people and people with privilege. And
this happens to be.
So we're on the way. I feel like more than ever, this past week, it was daunting this past week. I'll just be very honest. Like our campaign was just exhausted. We weren't posting. We were like, a couple of us were like evacuating. We were like making sure that we're all safe. So like the times themselves were like wild, but it's also like we want to come together as a campaign to make sure that like, how are we going to make that beyond just November? That's the thing. It's like we have to band together now. We have to come together and like, not in like a kumbaya way, but it's literally like, I know that the people that I'm around with would like, they have my back. The people that I'm not chatting with, like I know that there's better moments ahead.
Yeah, I think sometimes people think coming together thinks being peaceful, and coming together could be coming together to delegate a game plan and go forth. You know,
right?
Coming together does not mean we have to literally all hold hands and come together. We literally can meet in the center and delegate where everybody's going and fucking break out.
I agree. I think that that's beautiful. I have a really optimistic view of the future. And even if it's like not possible, I'm still wanting to know that like, I'm not trying to be like too optimistic, but I know that like what we're in now is not the best that we could be. Like how we're doing these things and how we're like treating our earth, how we're treating each other. It's like,
I'm trying to be like, we need to get on with the treating people right so we can get to the earth. I'm like, let's go, let's move. We're not gonna have people and we're not gonna have earth. Like we gotta go.
Yeah. How I've actually noticed that is going back to that phrase of like, you can't change people's mind by force. It's like, I'm having a lot of conversations. And it's with people I don't necessarily like agree with, or like I would have not probably had the conversation with them to begin with. But these times that I'm in now, I'm like, I am trying to have those conversations regarding race specifically, because I don't want it to fall on someone else. Because like, if I don't do that, who else, someone else is going to have to at some point. And it's like my privilege, that's pretty much my duty to do these things while I have the capacity, because if I don't, so it's going to rely on someone else. And it's like, well, I might as well try to have these conversations with my friends, with my family, with myself, while I can. So I think that's where I'm at. It's like it starts with us, and it starts very like internal questions of like identifying where we stand. Like it took me probably up until this year to put pen to paper of like what I actually believed as opposed to what I didn't believe.
Yeah.
I kept building myself up as what I'm not against. Oh, like I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I don't want to end up like that. But I never like really knew what I wanted.
Yeah.
And so like this,
Yeah, speaking it into truth, writing it down, and looking at it and having a vision to reflect what you want is honestly
yeah,
a good way to tackle harder conversations, especially when you like write it down and can see it. You can clearly find resources and information to back up these things that now stand and are your core values.
yeah, and that was probably the most beneficial thing that I've done, and it was with my counselor. I, she's a Black queer woman here, um, right next to me, and it's like I have learned so much from her directly, and it was great because I was able to actually put it, see it. It was actually tangible. I had never been able to conceptualize the ideas that I put into paper. And like, even though they were in my brain, now I could actually see, oh, that's what I believe, right? And so what I did from there, I actually looked at all of them, and there was probably about 80 something different like sentences that I had wrote. And then I kind of like went through it. And on the side, I put like what they were like what I attributed it to. And they all came back to like the same things, and it was Black liberation and Indigenous sovereignty. And it's like, so that's why I was
Now
like,
I
those are
have my mission. Now what?
the. So what I did, and with that information, I created a platform, right? And I did like very similar to what you're doing, talking shit about shit. I created bitch politics, and it was like black liberation, indigenous sovereignty, trans visibility, climate justice, and housing for all. So it has the acronym bitch. Uh, However, I have kind of like put that on pause because I actually realized while I was doing that is like I didn't want to reinvent. I don't need to reinvent the wheel. Like there's already people that are doing that, like you. There are already people that Black folks that I could amplify instead of like what I thought was the best idea was to create my own platform. But it's like now that I'm learning it, I could have simply just amplified something, and that's a learning opportunity for me. It's like, and it's still there, and I could still use it.
I think
But
that's such a good example of how many people did. I had a really good friend of mine post a video of him singing a song by a Black person and put, like BLM. And someone commented like, what is that going to do? And in his frustration, I explained, one, when you put something online, anyone gets to say whatever they want. So there's that. But two, I mean, ask yourself, what is that going to change anything?
right.
Is it going to make you feel better? Maybe. It might make you feel a little bit better. But ultimately, like, it goes back to learning and understanding, like, okay, while I did that, I learned that actually supporting and amplifying Black voices looks like this, and this is now what you've created, and so that it's a good thing to have, to humble yourself and take a step back and say, is this for me or is this for a mission?
Yeah, it was, and it's uncomfortable. I realized I remember saying, "Oh shit!" When I realized that, it like dawned on me that I like hijacked a platform that I was intending for good, and I was like, "Oh shit, this is what this means," and it like, like it was very, like it hit me so hard, and I was humbled. I was like, "Oh shit," and I just got like flushed, and I was like, "Oh man, what could I do?" Uh, and yeah, it's a learning opportunity. And I tell people that now, looking back, because I've had the same questions. They're like, how do I get started? And I tell the same thing. Don't reinvent the wheel. Don't make the same mistakes I did. Like, just learn from what people are doing. There's Black candle makers. There's Black clothes makers. Whatever you need, people are already doing it. You just got to find it. And then amplify it. That's probably easier than you think.
Hopefully a little bit easier than starting your own platform.
Right.
A little quicker.
Yeah, I've enjoyed this. Do we want to hear some more music?
Yeah. Do I have one or two more songs? So that'll determine what I play.
Let's hear two.
Okay.
What the heck?
What the heck? Or no, it's actually. So this song is called Ghost, and it is about ghosting. And if you don't know what that is, Google it.
Oh, no. We all know.
We all know what it is. Why don't you talk for a second? Let me tune this really fast because.
Yeah. I have so many thoughts when I hear the word ghosting.
So many.
Yeah.
If anyone wants my therapist's number, fine lady. Or the boy who I wrote this about. Okay. All right.
Ghost, you change your goddamn mind so goddamn much ago. Know what to hold true. Ghost, I don't know what did this to make you want to change. Fall right back into your ways. I've been waiting. You keep playing. 'Cause when I need you most, you just go, ghost on me. 'Cause when I need you most, you just go, ghost on me. Go, whoa, whoa, whoa. Go, whoa, whoa, ghost. You fill my head with hopes and empty promises. Guess the joke is all on me, ghost. I don't know how much more I could take you this, hoping that you'll change your way. I've been waiting. You'll keep playing. 'Cause when I need you most, you'll just go, ghost on me. 'Cause when I need you most, you'll just go, ghost on me. Hey, found another who keeps the words in space. Found another who's there when I'm in need. Found another, so don't go haunting me. Found another, so don't go haunting me. I found another who keeps the words in space. Found another who's there when I'm in need. Found another, so don't go haunting me. Found another, so don't go haunting me. Hey, yeah, hey. Whoa, whoa, whoa. 'Cause when I need you, you just go, ghost on me.
Thank you. Yay.
Yeah, I was gonna say snapping.
Oh man, ghosting is so rough. Is this when you were you ghosted or did you ghost somebody?
I was ghosted. I've also been the ghoster, and I'd like to say on record, I'm a changed person. With new information, it is okay to change your ideas. Okay.
Yeah, I agree. All right, so this is the question. Would you rather be ghosted or would you rather be very like have that conversation? Oh, I don't think it's gonna work out. Which one would you choose?
So I'm an Aries. I'd much rather be ghosted so that I could write a song about it.
That's good.
That's right.
I don't even know, honestly. I probably ghosted, honestly, more than I've been ghosted. I know. I don't even know honestly why.
Hard. I mean, we grew up in, and I'm 27. How old are you?
33.
Okay, so it's not 5 years. Sweetheart, it's 5 years.
I almost forgot. I was like,
our culture of like fast moving was like right on the cusp of our teenage years, where it was like instant gratification, social media age. And so I think communicating with someone like, hey, this isn't working out for my longevity, just doesn't seem in the norm because we're so used to fast-paced moving things. I don't even think I notice when people ghost me unless I was like really into them. But like if I met someone, went on a date and never talked to them again, I'm not like, what happened to so and so? I'm like, oh cool, we had a moment.
yeah.
Moment was some for a season, most for a season. For a reason, just a few for the reason.
That's so good. Yeah, I don't like ghosting. I feel like there's really not a reason. I feel like there's always a point to say, by the way, I don't think it's gonna work out. I just don't know what gets to that point. I feel like I don't know how to do it. Specifically, dating in COVID has been, we can't do that. But like this is like pre-COVID, before like there was a lot of exposure to it. But yeah, ghosting is, I don't approve of it.
It's 2020. Don't ghost and vote. That's
Don't ghost.
Do it. Don't do it and vote.
Don't ghost. Don't ghost your vote. So, what's your next song? Is it kind of upbeat?
Yeah, but it's still about boys. It's so funny. I try to write other things, and men keep sucking. So it's just, I sat to write a love song, and I was like, actually, no. Let's keep writing.
I mean, I'm super queer, but I'm like, I don't even like men, or like I'm just attracted to them. Like I really don't even like them.
Why couldn't I like anything else? Why I gotta keep like? And I think I like the same type of terrible that I'm like, at least be better than that.
And it also just proves that like homosexuality is not a choice. So why would anybody choose to like a man over a woman? No, we don't choose that. Like,
trust me.
If I could, I would want something else.
I think that needs to be like a standard for people to understand. Why the fuck would I choose that boy? I don't know. We're queer. We're all here.
But yeah, men do suck. I'm all about that. So, cis men.
They can do better. I know that they got it in them.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm glad one of us believes that.
So this next song is called You. And I couldn't call it the name of the boy. My manager said that would be mean.
Never beg for my forgiveness, I still give it to you. Never really said you're sorry, but I still forgave you. Never meant to break my heart. Did you really? I'm still broken, holding on to faith in your way and beating us. Oh, tell me why I still hate for you. Yo, oh, tell me why I still crave you. Yo, oh, tell me why I haven't given up. I go, tell me why I felt you did it for me too. Goddamn you, goddamn you, goddamn you, hey, always capture my eye. Love is so divine. always left me wanting more, so damn naive. Always made me feel like I was your one only. I'm still broken, holding on to faith, and you're everything us all. Tell me why I still hate for you, yo, oh. Tell me why I still crave you, yo, oh. Tell me why I haven't given up, oh. Tell me why I fell. You didn't fall for me too. God damn you, God damn you, God damn you, hey, God damn you.
That was great. I feel like I have a new favorite artist. I have so many songs that I could like, name that about.
I sound like a bunch of artists.
No, you're one of my favorite artists now. It's because like I have so many like references to like name that to.
People have, I thought you said like sound like. I've gotten so many sounds like things that I'm like, sound like a lot of people. But yes, I appreciate you for saying that.
Yeah, of course. That was great. I really enjoyed our set. I think the connection might be lagging a little bit, but let me know if you could hear me once we get connected again.
I can hear you perfectly.
Because I do feel like the live stream stopped. Okay. I see you now. Okay, perfect. It's saying that my internet connection was unstable. So.
Oh, I was like, I could see you and hear you the whole time.
I was like picking my nose and everything. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate this. Kingsley Music. I think on Instagram,
yes.
Is it just Kingsley Music, right?
Yeah, it's Yo Kingsley Music on Instagram. On everything. You can find me. You can find me on the internet. You can't find me on Tinder.
No, because we don't want to ghost. We don't want to be that person. So
but last endeavors to people, like one of my favorite things to remind people is like give yourself grace. You've come this far. Like think of how far you've come for everything that you're learning and doing. So give yourself some grace. If one of these nights, buy something nice for yourself. You deserve it. This road to evolution,
that's a good reminder.
Inspiration is a long one. So give yourself grace every single day.
Yeah, that's really good. I wish I had something to like emphasize on top of that, but like I think you just kind of nailed it. I'll just amplify that instead.
Yeah. Vote.
Yes. So thank you everybody for joining us. Again, my name is Token. We've got Kingsley here. We were just doing the artist for Teressa Raiford from Mayor. We want to make sure that these moments on Tuesdays and Thursdays are cultivating happiness. We're just here to bring whatever happiness that we can in those small moments, in those small pockets that we can. So if you're available, joining us Tuesdays, Thursdays, 8 o'clock. We're going to be streaming Instagram soon, but we already have Facebook and Twitter and YouTube. So you could find us out there. We're so thankful that you joined us. And we just want to emphasize to WriteinTeressaRaiford for Mayor on November 3rd or whenever you get your ballot. Any last words?
No, thank you so much. You are incredible. So very honored to get to know you.
Yes, thank you so much. You have a new fan for sure. So thank you so much for your music. And can we find you on Spotify?
Yeah.
Okay.
You go to all the streaming platforms. But if you go to my website, iamkingsley.com, at the bottom it has the places that, SoundCloud, Spotify, iTunes, so that you can go to your platform.
Wonderful. All right, y'all go check that out, and we will see y'all on Tuesday. Thank you so much for joining us.
See
You
you
sleep tight.